Well, he's got a dodgy click round him. Like he's not like it's not like it's Joe Blogs, because they were joking about him sat playing is it League of Legends, some fucking computer game, while he's doing a £20 million deal or something. You know? it takes the piss. It is blatantly bollocks. It's the biggest pile of bollocks you're going to hear. You know what I mean? Well, aside from COVID.
Well, he's not kept any books, has he? That's what the I think it's the liquidator that did Enron, like that liquidated Enron. He turned around and he said that he can't find any books. They didn't keep any books. They didn't keep any like accounts or anything like that. It's just so it's no wonder they can't find anything. It's crazy. It's like, what the fuck?
I actually got to worry about it.
There was a billionaire who offered them advice. I saw it on the Joe Rogan clip as well. And he said, listen, you need to have a board. You need to do this. You need to do that. And they just told him to fuck off.
Jesus, man.
I mean, I'm not laughing at the millions or billions that have gone, but I'm laughing at how on earth did they give this guy all that money? Like, what the heck happened?
It's insane.
That kind of weakness that's going to drag us into the fucking boxcars, man.
Well,
how many people do you think are doing that? Do you think there's a load of people doing that? Do you think that's a high proportion, guys?
Yes. Very.
Yeah. There's loads of people doing it. They're just doing it for an easy life.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you've heard of Matthias Desmet. He's another psychologist. He wrote a book called about mass formation psychosis. Mm-hmm. And he was saying that, he was saying that there's a small amount of people that actually do believe it. They're very zealous, very cult-like in the behaviour, and then you get a certain number of people that are all sort of following behind just for that easy life, just so they can just get on with things. And he said, and then you get that small minority that are vocal and always vocal. And he said that they're the ones that are stopping anything from going further. You know what I mean? From actually descending into tyranny. Those people that are still speaking out. He said, even though you'll be virtually, silenced by everyone, and even though you're a small minority, once you go, that's it. Everything will just descend. Then, and he said, just keep speaking, no matter how bad it gets. And he's right. He's right.
Yeah.
The more you keep speaking, the more people. Even if it's just one person that you're waking up, that's one person. That's one extra. Yeah, and they'll end up trying to wake someone else up and someone else up. Yeah, and you just got to keep going. You've got to keep going.
That fucking in your face bullshit.
It's just ridiculous, isn't it? The funniest one was Trudeau lately, and he went to this chemist. He's not wearing his mask because he's talking to the chemist. You know what I mean? And he's like, "Yeah, well, you come over here, sit down, and have your shot." He sat down, he put his mask on, and he shot, and then as soon as he stood up, he took his mask off again. He's like, "What are you doing?"
Wow.
They're talking
Sam,
to the camera. Like,
you need to send me that clip, Sam. You need to send me that clip. We're putting that in here for sure. We're putting that in here, man. Just a picture of it.
Hilarious. I'm like, how just completely ridiculous do you have to be? I mean, they're trying to bring the mask mandates back in Canada, aren't they, and America for because COVID numbers are back up. Yeah, there will be. It's flu season.
Are they?
Yeah.
Well, they disappeared, didn't they?
Yeah.
They disappeared.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, well, what gets me is that the UK government in 2020, October 2020, they told you basically that they were going to combine the flu and the COVID numbers together. Yeah, mm-hmm. And the reason being was because they weren't getting the numbers. Yeah, and then everyone forgot about it. They said, "Yeah, we're going to do this from September, end of September to April. Yeah, beginning of April." Well, that just so happens to be all the flu season. Yeah, and then next thing you know, that 2021, the same thing happens, but they didn't tell us. Yeah, this time that they were going to combine the numbers. They just did it very quietly, and all of a sudden the numbers are back up, and COVID's coming on. People are dying left, right, and centre. Come on.
But I think it's the content. Sometimes I think with what you're discussing, you don't fuck about, mate. So you don't mess about. So you just go straight in, and you're just talking about what's going on and the facts and Rishi Sunak. And I think. I was surprised it was up for 48 hours, that one. I really was. Because I was like, he's gone at Rishi here, man. He's gone at all of them. He's smashed them to bits, all of those people in that one.
Did you see that video? Rishi Sunak? I think it was his early days, and he sat there with his old man.
Yeah.
He's
I don't know any poor people.
Friends. He's talking about his friends. I've got friends upper class friends and lower class friends, and he corrected himself. He says, "Well, maybe not lower class, like he's fucking that's beneath him." The fucking dirty, slimy bastard. I saw him on a fucking. He was at like on a cruise ship or something, fucking partying in Ibiza or somewhere like that. And what a bellend, man!
He was doing.
And he's running our country, though. Can you fucking believe it?
He was doing a promotional thing for like, you know, the cost of living crisis and everything else at this Sainsbury's petrol station. And he had to borrow someone's car. He had to borrow sort of like one of the employees' cars, because it was too expensive. Like his Mercedes that he had parked up somewhere. He had to borrow an employee's car.
Wouldn't look quite right.
No, it's like, come on.
It's all about fucking PR, isn't it? It's all about fucking
it's just ridiculous. Like, I mean, they're so out of touch with everything. Yeah, it doesn't matter what it is. Started putting in place vaccine passports for travel, like, right. And it's like, you sneaky motherfuckers.
I thought they'd backtracked on that one.
They're still bringing them in. They need them. They need them for the actual digital currencies to be brought in. They both go hand in hand. So without one, they can't have the other.
Yeah.
So they sort of gerrymandered them in. Yeah, like just with the shittest excuse ever. You know, well, what about the next pandemic? We'll still need people to freely move, but we'll need to know that they've been vaccinated and blah blah blah. It's like bullshit. Come on.
It's digital ID, isn't it? It's getting everybody on the digital.
This is what they needed. Like I said, it's the only they need them to bring in the currencies, and without them they can't bring in the digital currency. It's simple as. So they're trying nonsensical measures just to like get everything back on track after being delayed so many times again. Yeah.
But Sam, think about it, Andy. Like, I'm sorry, my brain works at this, but I'm not as well. I'm not sorry, but. We're always going back to square one here, yeah, right? So they're going to bring in digital passports. This is what they're going to say, and it's going to show your vaccination status. Okay, I'm not going to get one. No. You're not going to get one. Andy's not. So we're still back to square one, where you've got the 30% of the world that are going to go, fuck you, man. So it doesn't matter which way. So what are these passports for? Are they just to show who's vaccinated and not? Because that's where my brain's thinking. I think this is a clever way to show who's unvaccinated. And I think in the future, not in a bad way. I think this is, I don't know, man. I think
they're meant to have all your information on, all your medical records, all your financial records, all your driving, all your government documents and everything else on one passport. But I mean, there's so many protests going on in Europe right now. Yeah, just over these passports alone. Yeah, like our mainstream media won't tell you about. Yeah, you've got to go to places like Telegram and everywhere else to find out about them. But they're all happening, all happening in Europe at the moment because they're like, fuck off, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
Especially in places like Romania and everything else. That skinhead guy, I've forgotten his name now. He's a Romanian MEP. And like yeah. And the Romanians and the Poles and they've been under stuff like that, with the USSR, so they know full well what tyranny is like, and they don't want it.
Yeah.
They don't want it. They're well kicking off about it at the minute, proper kicking off about it. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, even though they're saying they're going to do this, I don't think they're going to be able to get them through because no one wants them. No one thinks there's any point in them. Yeah, what they need is they need something else again that'll distract us. Like, I mean. They're trying to use COVID again at the minute, but everyone's just like, oh, fuck off, we don't care. Yeah, you can just see it in the public that they've just had enough. Yeah, they've just got to that point now where it's like, bollocks to you. Yeah, like, we're not having it. Yeah. I mean, they were trying to do it in monkeypox. Yeah. It's like, just fuck off, we don't care.
Yeah, it was laughed off, monkeypox.
Yeah, so...
Thing is, though, one of the ingredients in the vaccine is fucking chimpanzee DNA. And then they fucking start chatting fucking monkeypox. It's like they're taking the piss.
In the AstraZeneca and the J&J vaccines, they use, well, the AstraZeneca one uses a chimpanzee adenovirus, a viral shell, instead of the little lipid particles that they have in the Pfizer ones, and the J&J uses a green monkey one. Yeah, so I mean, you could they're like the viruses anyway. They're a viral outer shell that they're using. They just This is a sneaky thing though. They're DNA vaccines. They're not mRNA. They actually use a DNA strand inside those. Yeah, they changed out the RNA inside that viral shell for a DNA strand, and now they're trying to bring in DNA sort of vaccines. They've got them already in, I think it's phase 3 trials now for flu. Yeah. Yeah. I posted some papers from because I posted Oxford Journal of Infectious Diseases sort of papers. I'm like on their press list, and so I keep posting their stuff. And they've posted quite a lot of DNA vaccine.
Also, what they described as monkeypox, though, it's
shingles.
Shingles is fucking, and it's listed as one of the side effects it was on the Pfizer documents, wasn't it?
Yeah. One of those on the 8 pages of blooming side effects. 8 pages.
Yeah. There's like 1,200.
One after the other. Yeah.
1,250 separate fucking adverse side effects that they fucking knew about.
Yeah, ranging from everything from virus, like other viral infections to you remember, that Adam that I was speaking to the other day. I mean, I've stopped really trying to say it, like sort of talk to him properly, because they knew about cancers being sort of triggered by the vaccines in those Pfizer documents that I sent him, and I knew he'd not really read through all those side effects. I mean, there is a lot. All right, yeah, there's 8 pages, it's very small writing. Yeah, the one after the other. Yeah. But
really aggressive cancers, though, and fucking rare ones. You know what I mean?
It triggers old ones as well. Ones that they've got, like people have got over, they'll just suddenly go off. Yeah. Like suddenly get triggered again, and it's like, I mean, to say that it doesn't do this is just ridiculous. Yeah, but that Adam that I was speaking to on Telegram, like he's one of those that won't see the stuff that's in front of him, and you can sort of tell. Yeah, even though he's on the page with us, he's very sort of. He says he's pro-choice, but I don't think he is. I think he's very pro-vaccine, and maybe just a little bit confused at the minute. I don't know, but it's very difficult talking to him. When you send him information, and he says, "Well, that's not right here, there, and everywhere," and then there's certain. Yeah, I mean,
I think there's going to be some people though, Sam, that'll just they're going to have to wait and see. You know, that they're still of the belief that this is nothing harmful, nothing's gone on, it's totally fine, blah, 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 blah. And some people are just going to be like that. And, it's like you said at the start, those academics in the psychologists, they've been trained by a certain way. So have these people. They're not trained to think outside of the box in any way, shape or form. Plus, new things require new data. So this could be 6 months down the line from there. They could be like, oh, sorry, it actually does cause that.
Well, it's like these doctors that have been coming forward and everything else. And like I said, they all get all this backlash and all sorts of stuff. And I mean, all right, yeah, it's kind of justified, being suspicious and everything else. But if you stop and think, these people, they're sort of, I mean, they're really high up in the field. They've been indoctrinated for like 8, sometimes 12 years into a certain mindset and a way of thinking. And for them to come forward and risk their reputations, for like that they've spent, maybe a few decades building up, to come out and say, that we shouldn't be taking these vaccines for X amount of reasons, and then they're getting backlash from their own group. They're losing their medical licenses and everything else, and then they're getting accused of being a controlled opposition by some dickhead behind the keyboard, And it's like, I mean, I can understand why people think like that, right? But it's sometimes we've missed so many opportunities. We really have. I mean, I was having a conversation with a mate the other day, right? And it really got me thinking. Yeah, they were saying, "Well, do you think we've done enough?" And I said, "Well, how do you mean?" And he said, "There was quicker ways out of this." And it took me a minute to think about what it was on about, and then I started thinking about all these doctors, Gate, Van and Bosch being one. Yeah, we could have learned how the hierarchy is actually trying to put things together just by the way, the information that he had, the position that he had. You get Mike Eden. He was the former director of of Pfizer's respiratory division, respiratory disease sort of research and development division. Yeah, so he's been there developing sort of vaccines and medications for most of his life. And he came out about, I think it was about a month ago, 2 months ago, and he says, I truly believe now, after going back and looking and everything else, he said, I don't think there are any respiratory viruses. He said, I don't think they exist. And he said, I know it sounds crazy for me to say that. He said, but I really, really, truly do not think there has ever been any respiratory viruses ever. He said, it's just something we've been told, and we've been shown this evidence here, but it's not a virus. It's not a virus. And it's like, and then all of a sudden, like, you get people like Burgess and everything else going, he's lying. He's just doing that. He's just doing that because he's controlled up together. And it's like, no, think about what you're saying. Think about what you're saying. Yeah. For this guy to turn around and say that, yeah, after he's been in that field for God knows how long, he's already turned around and like just basically destroyed his entire career, former career by coming out and speaking out against them anyway. And now he's doing this. He's turning around and saying, I don't believe there are any respiratory viruses. And he was sincere. You could see it in his face and the way that he was sat and his voice and everything, his body language and the way he was saying it in his voice. You could just tell, that he was sincere. It wasn't fake. It wasn't him trying to play a game or anything like that. It was just, but you get people on our side that just won't, they can't see that. They can't, I don't know what it is.
I've seen that before. I have seen that before a few times actually. Fucking that. There's people. They say virus. The theory of a virus, because a virus doesn't actually exist. There's no such thing as a virus at all. And I'm like, well, do you know what I mean? It's. If that's the case, it ought to be so fucking obvious that you can't deny it.
The thing is, I think there's a guy called Bruce Lipton, and he has epigenetics, he calls it, where it's basically it's half terrain theory, which viruses don't exist, and half not, half viral theory, and he's had hospitals going for 20 odd years now, and he's got probably one of the highest sort of success rates with curing sort of, infectious diseases and cancers and everything else.
I thought though.
By other things, just changing your diet and everything else. And it's like,
right.
But he tries to use as little medication as he can as possible, to like get someone to sort of turn around. And like I said, he's got the highest success rate in the world in every single hospital that is opened. But it is. I think his idea of it being half and half, where it's half pathogen, half sort of your environment, I think that's the right way to go. I think, obviously, because he's proven it in practice. These people that just go solely for the environment and that's it. That's all it is. There's nothing really to prove that. Whereas, like I said, Bruce Lipton, he's actually got the evidence there in his practice in what he does. So I think it's probably more than likely that our normal medicine and maybe some sort of holistic homeopathic sort of environmental kind of
combination.
Combination is probably the way to go. I think eventually we're gonna settle for that anyway. I think eventually
it would make sense to fucking take the best of both and combine it.
Do you guys think that's what? Do you think that's what we've got coming once this is all sorted and settled? Do you think that's going to be? What you both think that
we need to revert back to a more holistic sort of way of looking at fucking medicine.
I mean, the way the
what we've got now is poison, man.
The way the pharmaceutical industry was set up was through J.D. Rockefeller.
Byproduct of a fucking petrochemical industry.
Petrol. It's why they basically completely infiltrated the sort of education system in America, yeah, and changed all the way we sort of we deal with medicine. They bad-mouthed and smeared all the herbal remedies and everything else that have been used for thousands of years. Some of them, all for a pharmaceutical that had sort of petrochemicals inside them. You know what I mean? It's like it's all money and power and everything else. They don't really give a people in between. Yeah,
it goes back to the families you were talking about earlier as well.
Yeah. Well,
I've got a question, Sam, about those families. Well done, Andy. There. So, whether the theory about the lesser order coming and they're going to round these up happens or not, those families, are they still in control then when the next stage comes? Are those going to be the guys that start pumping the holistic balanced with the medical, but the right medical? Are they going to be? I mean, because I can't surely they're not going to lose control. Surely. Do you get what I mean?
I don't think they'll lose control, but they're not going to be the ones that bring in a more healthier approach to life. It'll be us that take that forward. Do you know what I mean? Or those of us that are left.
These guys, they're the way they look at things. From what I could work out, they believe the gods in a way. Yeah, I mean the Merovingian line. The legend goes that it was started off by it's a guy called Merovec. Yeah, a king in France during the, I think it was the 900s, and his wife got raped by a demon, and this gave him sort of divinity. This is the actual legend behind the whole Merovingian sort of line. Yeah, and from there they believe that it's their birthright in a way. I've forgotten whether there's two. There's one in Switzerland and there's one in Paris, and it's sort of a memorial set to them, and it's got like eight statues going round in a circle, and each of them has sort of a god and then a little sort of passage about how this god was defeated and blah 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 blah, and then the middle one is empty. Yeah, and that's for them. That's the way they see it. They see themselves as gods, as it's their birthright. Yeah, like I said, these people are just insane. Yeah, I mean, absolutely insane. But
I'm sat here laughing, thinking, what the fuck goes through these people's minds?
Exactly.
Man?
But then
they need to get jobs, man. That's what they need to do. They need to get proper jobs.
Get a fucking about
like this, man. Do you know what I mean? Live a day in our life, fuckers.
It's just the mentality of these people. They've always thought they were one better than us, and always thought they were above us. Yeah, and I think in some respects, their bloodline kind of is. I mean, there's evidence that the human race was messed with at some point, right? Like way back in antiquity. I mean, thousands of years ago. Because
that fusion of genes. Sam?
There's two of our genes that are fused together. Like most primates have 48 chromosomes, yeah, and we have 46. Yeah, we're the only species on Earth that has 46 chromosomes. Yeah, or only species of great ape. All the rest of them have 48. I
saw that.
Yeah, and
I saw that on a double hit. It was a double helix, and apparently we've been capped off.
Yeah. Well, any genetic scientist worth the salt, yeah, they'll say it off the record. They won't say it on the record, but they'll say it off the record that it's the way it's done and the position that it's done at is a clear indication of some sort of tampering. Yeah, some sort of engineering. It doesn't happen naturally. Yeah.
Right.
So then you've got to trace things back about, all the way back through our legends and everything else about why that happens. And I think this is where us and that sort of elite class in a way sort of split. Because I don't believe it was aliens, yeah, in any way, shape or form. All this talk about Anunnaki aliens and everything else, they're all people. They're all people. They were human. Yeah, they just have very advanced technology. Yeah. It's one of the reasons why they're in Ukraine at the minute, I believe. Yeah, because they found this one area called Arata that it was only discovered about 10, 20 years ago. But the Sumerians went on about it over and over and over again as being sort of the civilization of high technology that disappeared thousands of years before them. Yeah, and I think it was the actual sort of survivors of some sort of cataclysm that destroyed Arata that their survivors came out and was sort of confused with an extra sort of gods, yeah, because of the technology that we're using, yeah. Epic of Gilgamesh goes on about he was studying the ruins of Arata when he went to go and find this immortal guy called Utnapishtim, which is a biblical Noah, yeah. And he's saying that he stood outside of a gateway that when he goes through it, it leads to this garden where this immortal guy is, yeah. And as soon as you start hearing about what he's describing, he's fighting these spirits of Aratan kings that turn into lions, and he's got to defeat them before he goes through this gate. And he sounds like a dimensional portal, yeah. And then when you learn that the capital of Arata, yeah, was in Mariupol in Ukraine, yeah. And then you've got all of the Donbass and all the stuff that they've been finding in the Donbass over the years, yeah. There's tunnels, vast tunnels under Chernobyl, yeah, which is one of the reasons why I think they set off that disaster so they could move everyone out and look through all these tunnels. It's the first it's the first place that Putin invaded, yeah. When he invaded Ukraine, he jumped over the border and took over the Chernobyl site. Yeah, right. And I think that's because what we found under there years before the USSR collapsed. Yeah, you get Azovstal, which was Azovstal's the largest steelworks you'll see in your life. Yeah, it's like the size of a city, but underneath it, it's got three layers of catacombs underneath it. Right, where Azovstal is where Tripoli used to be, which was the capital of Arata. Yeah, right. So it's got these 3 layers of catacombs. Yeah. Apparently, before the Russians got there, right, they got all the people out, all the civilians out, right. But then next thing you know, all the Azov brigade are stuck in there, right, and they're saying stop bombing us because we've got civilians in here. What are civilians doing there, right? Even after it was under siege, right, all of a sudden all these computer equipment's getting flown in. Elon Musk's like computer equipment, right? After it's under siege, so all the Russians are letting all this computer equipment in. Why are they doing that? What's going on there? Yeah, this whole thing with Ukraine is it's just a show because they're just trying to get at whatever's there. Yeah, whatever they found, they're trying to get out and as quietly as possible. Yeah, they did the same in Iraq. Yeah, when he invaded Iraq, they went straight for Baghdad and straight for the Baghdad Museum, and then took everything out of the vaults underneath.
What was the crack there? Because I did read about that, and I didn't know whether to believe it or not. That it was about a supposed fucking Stargate or something.
Yeah. Just some sort of tech they found there, definitely. Yeah, the Sumerians, they were meticulous in everything, and they wrote. We know more about the Sumerians than we do about the Egyptians. Yeah. Just from the tablets and all the stuff that they wrote down, yeah, they wrote everything down, but a lot of it was sort of hidden away, yeah. Like about 6 months before the invasion of Iraq, they found Gilgamesh's tomb, right? And Gilgamesh was thought to be a myth, right, for centuries, yeah. After people found out about him, and then Saddam was building a dam, yeah, and he had to divert the Euphrates River, and that's when they found this tomb. And they wondered what it was. It was Gilgamesh's tomb, right? So this confirmed that everything pretty much that was said in the Epic of Gilgamesh was likely true, yeah, because there he is, they found him, right? Right. So then 6 months later, boom, we get the war in Iraq over weapons of mass destruction, yeah. Now they're saying it's all chemical weapons and nuclear weapons, but I don't think it is. No, I think they did find something, yeah. When they emptied the vaults out, yeah, they were there in Iraq for ages, and they had ISIS destroying historical sites all over the place. Yeah, only certain ones, specific ones that were a certain age, yeah, and from a certain period.
They're trying to wipe out a fucking
trying to wipe all evidence. Yeah, they're trying to wipe all evidence of what they found. Yeah, and I think what they found there was a guy who bought a tablet thinking it was a fake one from an auction house, right? Gilgamesh's dream tablet, where he describes his journey into Arata and what he was doing there, where it was exactly and everything. Yeah, and he had it in his Bible museum, right? For about 10 years he had it there, and then all of a sudden, 2018, the FBI come knocking on his door. We need that tablet. Yeah, it's illegal. It was stolen from the Iraqis. We need to take it back. It's been there for 10 years on public display. Why are they checking that? Yeah. And then 3 years later, boom, yeah, they're going into Ukraine. Yeah, it's all over ancient tech. most of the wars that we've had lately have all been to try and hide the fact that they've been looking for this stuff all over the place. Yeah, I think that's just my theory. I mean, I may be wrong, but
it may.
It's a good theory.
It's an interesting one.
Yes, definitely. It's an interesting one indeed, isn't it?
No, it's one that I'm definitely gonna look further into because I'm hooked on that one now. That's fascinating.
Sam's got some epic stuff on his channel about it, and epic
I'm gonna have
stuff.
to have a look through what you got, man.
I mean, where all this stuff comes from as well is Doggerland. I don't know if you've heard of Doggerland.
The only time I have heard of it is when you spoke of it in a previous video that you did. It was probably one you were with Matt or something. I don't know, but maybe, I watched you talk about one in the past anyway.
Yeah,
but briefly, I've got just what you told then. Sorry, I mean,
the Britain and Northern Europe are quite sort of. It's being suppressed, all the information that they're finding. Yeah. All the stuff that they're finding, everything else. We got like it's in the Outer Hebrides. It was a girl off MC-Ca's channel actually that turned around and sort of put me onto it. She said there's Paleo Hebrew writing in these ruins that they found off of, like, the Hebridean Islands, across Scotland. Like there's loads of Paleo Hebrew stuff sort of written there. And she was there saying that was, it could be that's where that sort of language has come from, or they've been travelling over there. But then I found the same thing, right? There's rocks with the same sort of scripts in Ukraine, with the same sort of scripts on there that are like almost 20,000, maybe more years old. Yeah, they find it in the Indus Valley, in India. It's like okay, loads of stuff that we're not being told here.
So, how can we watch? How can we watch their activities in Ukraine or around Ukraine? Do you know what I mean? Can we? How can we keep an eye on it? Do you know what I mean?
It's quite difficult keeping an eye on what they do because they won't let a lot of information out. There was a channel on Telegram. I'll have to send Matty the link. But it was basically it was a Russian guy, but it was showing all the footage that the Russians have been showing on their TV, TV channels, because they show all the sort of all the operations that go on and stuff. But it's weird how Putin just got so far and then stopped, and he just stopped there, and he had perfect chance to move through sort of, to take over the rest of Ukraine, but he stopped at the Dnieper River, that border, it goes all the way around, and it just basically covered the Donbass. He did the same in Crimea in 2014. There's a pyramid that's been found there, right, and they keep trying to suppress it, and then it keeps coming out. It's under 65 million years of rock, right? Is this pyramid, right? A guy called Vitaly Gore, he's dead now, God bless him, but he invented a new form of LiDAR that could actually, to find aquifers under underground sort of rivers and stuff like that. So it's really precise. And he found this pyramid under 65 million years of rock in Sevastopol in Crimea. Now, when Putin annexed Crimea, the first place he went to, he didn't send all his troops to the borders like he would do, or all the infrastructure or anything like that. He sent it straight to that area, just that one area. Since 2014, Putin's made 8 personal dives, in submersibles and scuba gear all around that coastline, right? They set up a marine archaeology department in St. Petersburg, in 2020, and so far they made 180 odd dives, right, just around in that one area alone. So they found something. They found something there. Like I said, it's just weird how they stopped in Donbass, and it's just basically keeping all that covered. As long as it's war torn, no one's going to go in there and go and look or anything like that, and they can basically smuggle things out that they need to without much sort of many eyes on it. I think this is why they get those wars started in the first place, just so they can keep people out of those areas. But like I said, it's just a theory. I may be wrong. And
it would explain a lot. Do you know what I mean? It goes with a lot of what's going on and what's gone on.
Yeah. I mean, this stuff they're finding everywhere. They're finding everywhere, though. I mean, there's tunnels all over the UK. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen Paul Buck's videos on that?
Yeah. I've watched a couple of his. Right. Honest to God, right. I've not said this to him, obviously, on his comments, but he's one of the few people whose videos I can watch all the way through and not feel like I need to comment on it. You know?
Well done. Yeah. But they're so good. They're so good. I mean, he's underground himself.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple of times where I thought, well, maybe that's not right. But most of his stuff, I've sat there and gone, yeah, I agree with that. That's very interesting. You know what I mean?
He's been digging, and he's always the first one to say, you know, he's got a group like you, where people just send stuff and he goes and investigates. But he's going underground and like all over the UK, and there's these networks. It looks like complexes. It looks like it can't look, and the narrative is saying, oh, this was created by rocks, and when this came up, and the sea levels and all that, and you're looking at it going, how is that possible? I mean, he's found, you've seen it, service pipes going through underground building, service pipes, like with a caveman putting in electric.
Someone sent something to me the other day where it's this forest down south in Essex called, I think it's Hangman's Rest or something like that. And they found these these holes, dug into the chalk. They go down about 50 feet, and then open out into these massive sort of caverns that they're handmade, They're like made by people. They've had to admit that because of the chisel marks, and everything else, right? Well, it's like, well, why have they built them? What they built them for, Because their excuses, it was, for Viking raiders and stuff like that. Well, to do that with the tools that they're talking about, right, would take at least, I don't know, about 50, 60 years. By that point, the Vikings had come in and took over the place anyway. So what's the fucking point? So
wouldn't it have been better to just use that energy and times against the Vikings as well?
Run away. You know what I mean? Why be cold? Yeah, but there's more of them. There's about 50, 60 of them.
Andy's got some right by him. And you, Andy, you've got some in... You've told me about the stuff in Melbourne, man. I mean, it's crazy what's going on across under the UK, everywhere. But Andy lives right by some of this stuff.
There are supposed to be underground military bunkers here. Storage facilities for nukes have been rumoured because of the granite being you can't read through it, sort of thing. It's so dense, it hides radioactive material. Do you know what I mean? So it's supposed to have been like perfect fucking storage facility that won't be traced, won't be, but there's loads going way back. I mean, there was there's a church uptown that apparently has tunnels leading directly into the hills, and it's where the monks would smuggle their alcohol back and forth through the hills. but I've no idea how true that is. But there's a lot of rumour of hidden cave systems and tunnels and fucking. It is really interesting, but I don't know very much about it. Sorry?
What do you think, and Sam, do you think, and I've said this to Paul Cook as well, do you think that actually we're thinking these are all underground now because they are to us, but back at some point, they weren't underground at all. And these were actually buildings and things and complexes that were above ground. And for some reason or another, they're now underground and we've all built on top of them. Because I've checked parish records up in Scotland and the parish records go back quite a lot now. I went there, I can't verify them, but they're a pretty good source of information. And they talk about 1 level down, 2 levels down, where they've dug down, they've found graves 4 levels down, 5 levels down. They've estimated back then that was 200, 300, 400, 500 years ago. And
Malvern would be a good place to start, but I don't know. I can't think that. Well, the Malvern Hills is obviously a natural thing, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's fucking natural, but I don't know. It's not like the sandstone that your mum was talking about, like his polymer, like poured.
That's true. That's true.
It's a bit different. So I don't know whether it'd be worth looking at in that respect. But there is a lot. I mean, more history than most in and around Malvern. Malvern's apparently mentioned in the Doomsday Book. You know what I mean? It's fucking. There's a lot of fucking history. It's you know. I don't know much about it, but I know that the information is there for anybody who would want to
have a look.
Yeah.
A lot of these really ancient ruins, they will have been above ground at some point. I mean, you just have to look at the Amazon.
I think if you had access to like fucking the church by up the top of town here in Malvern, I you know, apparently it was an old monastery back in the day, and it's still the same building, so maybe there's an access from in the church.
Yeah, could be. Yeah. I mean, they did have a habit of building sort of over ancient pagan sites, and you know, places of interest, shall we say? Like a lot of the time when they were building the churches and whatnot. A bit like the pyramids. When they built the pyramids, they were over even more ancient sort of structures at the time.
I saw that on what's his name? Graham Hancock. I watched his series on Netflix, and he was saying how civilizations had come along, found something half done anyway that they thought they could improve on, and they've just built and it's civilization upon civilization because they did core samples.
Yeah,
and they went right back, fucking like time ago.
The Inca temples and the Mayan stuff in sort of South America, they're a prime example of that, where they just built temples on top of temples, like all the way through. A couple of them here and there would have an emperor in from God knows how long back, but there was only one or two. But they'd still build a temple over the top of that, and then another temple over the top of that. And it's like Russian nesting dolls. The same sort of the same thing happened in Egypt, but not quite as much. I think the Great Pyramids it could have been a power sort of power generator or something like that. But things like Joseph's Pyramid, which is like, I think it's called the Bent Pyramid. Like, they know that that's built over a more ancient sort of pyramid from like, you know, probably thousands of years before, and a really, really sort of sacred site to them, and that's why they built it over the top. But that's got there's tunnels again connecting all of that, all the pyramids there, and all the temples in all the way around Egypt, all up to the Giza Plateau. Like, they're finding tunnels all over the place. There's like a 3-level sort of city under the ground. Like, they found through LiDAR. And of course, the Egyptian Antiquities Board, like, they won't let them go and dig it up. Like, they say, no, we don't believe you. But it's LiDAR, look, see, it's there. No.
Yeah, sensitive as fuck. They won't entertain it, will they?
Like, it's Saga, the guy who runs it. Like, I mean, he got done for corruption, for selling off Egyptian artifacts all over the black market. Got this other guy in. This other guy turned around and said, we're going to open it up for all the archaeologists. And instantly he gets fired and Zahir Watts gets put back in. Like, straight away. But, there's a guy called Andrew Collins, and he found a sort of a labyrinth that started off. The doorway for it were in this tomb called the Tomb of the Birds. It was in the doorway at the back, and all the way down, they were taking Zahir Watts down there, and he's denying it and everything else. And even when they were walking through the door into this labyrinth, he's there like saying, "No, doesn't exist. It doesn't exist." And then he gets in there, and he's like, "Okay, yeah, I'm gonna. Whoa, yeah, it's very interesting. We're going to find out where it goes."
Yeah. I've seen that as well. A couple of like old photographs of one was the I think it was the Sphinx.
Yeah.
And there was a fucking doorway behind the ear.
Yeah.
In the old photo, it doesn't exist now.
No, they've plastered over it. Yeah.
And it's apparently it's underneath all of that. It's a like a record storage, like a library sort of thing.
Yeah, Hall of Records, I think. Yeah,
yeah.
They know there's caverns under there because they've done like geo scans over the top of it. I think this was during the 80s and 90s, like, and they wanted to do like an excavation there, and they turned around and said, "Oh, you can't do that because it's too near the Sphinx, and what if the paw falls in, and collapses the whole structure?" And it's like, yeah, you just don't want anyone to know what's in there. I think they know full well what's in there. They've been in there. They've either took everything out, or they've left it there for the moment. I don't know. But they found the tomb of Osiris, didn't they, underneath the Great Pyramid? And it's like from the shaft it goes about 120 feet all the way down, and ends up at this pool. It's got a black sarcophagus in it. And the first descriptions of it had 4 pillars going around this pool where this sarcophagus is that they haven't opened, supposedly. And then the next thing you know, they're taking people down there, and all these pillars have gone. No one knows where they are. Like, it's like, well, what's going on there? Where are these pillars? What did they have written on them? Yeah, there's so much stuff that they won't tell us because it flies in the face of everything that we've been taught and everything they've been trying to sort of tell us for at least 2 centuries now. Yeah. We're a lot older. We're a lot stranger. We've had a lot stranger history than we're actually being told. Yeah, I think we've been here for upwards, maybe at least 500,000 to maybe 1 billion years. Yeah, I think, judging by what the Vedas say. Yeah, the Indian Vedas, when they go on about how humans were here before and everything else.
How old is that London hammer? Have you seen that thing?
No.
It's an artifact, and it's a petrified wooden handle and a high carbon steel, which can only be achieved using fucking nuclear technology.
And
it's like fucking 500 million years old or something.
Yeah. Well, they found an anatomically correct sort of modern human skull cap. Yeah. And that's something like 300 to 400,000 years old. Yeah, sorry, 3 to 400 million years old, right? And that shouldn't exist, right? That shouldn't exist.
Yeah.
They found pestles and mortars, brass bells, all sorts, in like sort of billion-year-old rock, yeah. The oldest thing they found, oldest things that they found are these iron balls that are a composite iron, yeah. That basically they're can't be naturally made, yeah. We've got a bit in the top, and we like sort of grooves around the outside of them, yeah. So they've obviously been engraved, yeah. They're like 4 billion years old. They've been found in 4 billion-year-old rock, right? Rectangular tubes, metal tubes about that long that they found in France that are about 2 billion years old. Yeah, it's like, okay, so either geology's wrong, yeah, or history's wrong. Yeah,
100%. One of the two.
Yeah, one of the two. These things have been like hidden away, in the back rooms of, of like museums all over the place. Like, it's not only because of this one guy, Michael Cremo, just going around saying, "Can I have a look in your drawers in the back just to have a nosy?" And he's found loads of stuff that just indicate that if anything, we're a lot older than we're actually taught. Yeah, we've been a lot more advanced in the past. Yeah, just looking at Egypt alone and all the saw marks and the boreholes that you see in rocks and stuff like that. Star-shaped boreholes. How do you make them in a rock? Yeah, with a drill. It's like, what the fuck? So how the hell are you doing this? Yeah, so we're a lot more technologically advanced back then. Definitely. We're sort of playing catch up right now.
A lot of the books say that, though, don't they? Like the Vedic text and stuff like that you spoke about before, Sam. There's stuff that you've spoke about as well, Andy, in our chats, where there's a lot of stuff written down. And like I said, I'm not there, I can't verify because I didn't see them writing it, all the things. But there's so many weird things that seem to be written down that get proven true later on. It's quite strange.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the Iliad, Homer's Iliad. Yeah, the siege of Troy. And that was believed for years that it was just a myth and didn't really happen. You know what I mean? The wooden horse, the Trojan horse and everything else. And then it was only when this guy found Trey in Turkey that everyone turned around and went, oh, okay. And that was in 1920. Like, you know what I mean? So it wasn't that long ago when that was found. And they find these sites all over the place, and they just keep cropping up. Yeah, they're trying to put it down to myth, you know, and then when they do find them, it's like, oh, well, they're not that old, you know, they're this old, and then they find something that's even older than that, you know, further down the line. It's like Göbekli Tepe. Yeah, they were trying to say that, you know, oh, it's only a few thousand years old and everything else, until someone carbon dated some of the like material that they found in there. Yeah, and it's like 10,000 years old. Like, yeah, not a lot we can say to that.
It causes them some clankers, doesn't it? It causes some right clankers for the narrative.
It's like the stuff that's underwater, that they find underwater. And they try and say, oh, you know, it doesn't exist, or it's a natural formation, and then someone goes down and pulls up the head of a statue.
Yeah.
Well, that was like above water, what, 30,000 years ago, 40,000 years ago? I think you're going to have to put your timeline back a bit, but you don't want to do it. You just try and dismiss it and sweep it under the carpet.
It completely rewrites history, and well, it blows it fucking wide open.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that could only be a fucking good thing, you know what I mean? Why wouldn't you want to learn fucking more about past? You know what I mean?
It's only bad for the academics, right? Because they've staked their careers on this. Yeah, they get grants for looking into this sort of thing. So they, you know, these theories
or not.
Yeah, or not. Yeah. These theories have been established off someone else's theories from like 50 years back, and then someone else's 100 years back, 200 years back. Yeah. So it's actually making the universities a lot of money, just this one theory, and then some guy who's just gone hiking around, I don't know, Dorset, something like that, finds like a pot that's like 50,000 years old and like made out of, I don't know, steel or something like that. It just completely screws up everything. And then, oh no, we can't have that, can't have that. He's not an archaeologist. He's not an archaeologist, so it can't be real. Yeah. It's like, oh.
I'm so glad about that though, guys. Like Andy said, it's a good thing because like Paul Cook, yourself, Andy, all of us, we're all just searching. We're just searching, and for somehow or another, we seem to be discovering stuff. So maybe that's a part of it. Maybe we sort out all the world next year and sort out everything else, and you know, maybe we get to find out some of this info even more. But even if we don't, we're still going to keep discovering anyway. So we're going to keep going.
We're discovering the same sort of thing, which is like completely independently. I didn't know anything about Paul Cook until you like mentioned him. So I
was sat there, Sam, with you going in the Ukraine and going underground, showing me catacombs, and him doing it in the UK, and then you both did Bosnia, and I'm like, Sam, you lot are all onto the same thing here, just in different countries. It's this, so it's epic.
Yeah, it is.
Well, guys, listen, I'm going to say here, right? We've got a good few hours here, so this will definitely be a 2-parter or a 3-parter. But I want to just say, this part will come on the last one, by the way. I want to say thank you so much to both of you, to Sam Fisher and Andy C.
I've learned a lot, for sure.
So it was nice meeting you anyway, mate.
Yeah, same, man. Fucking no doubt we'll be speaking again. It's been good.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, we'll need to do this again as well, guys, because this will be split into 2 or 3, and I'll stagger as I pull them out, but they'll probably come out. We'll probably have the first one before December. I'll cut this bit out, by the way, guys, so it won't be in there, but we'll probably have the first one come out in December, and then there'll be maybe 2 or 3 from this, because it is fucking epic. But I'm seriously, guys, I'm so buzzing that you wanted to come on, and I'm so buzzing that we did this all together, and we definitely need to do it again. And I've learned a lot as well, man, and thank you so much, Andy and Sam, for real, man.
You're welcome. Welcome, man.
Yeah, it's been good. I've enjoyed it.
It's been a buzz.
Wicked.
Awesome. Right, guys, that was epic, man. That was really epic, and definitely 2-3 hours out of that, and it definitely 2 or 3 podcasts were up, rather. There's definitely 2, possibly 3 50-minute ones or something. Well done, man. How'd you both feel?
Good, man. It was just chill chat, man. Fucking like I say, I've got a lot of shit now that I'm racking my brains. I want to go and start digging.
We're researching till midnight, both of us. Like, what the fuck? Absolutely love it, man.
You know where to go.
And it's such a nice chill as well, and that's how I want this to be, man. It was just a chat, but we talked about a lot of good things here, man, and I think it's going to be very useful for other people as well to, gain from us. And I love it, guys. I fucking love you both, man. Epic dudes. Nice. So fucking buzzing with this one.